Here we go again. Chapter 25, questions for study and discussion for cutting operations. So what causes metal to rust? Well, we know that oxidization. This is the oxygen in the air uniting with the metal. So what makes possible the cutting of metal by OFC? Well, OFC is a group of cutting processes that use heat generated by a gas flame. The fuel-oxygen mixture accelerates a chemical reaction between oxygen and the base metal that removes it. Now, how does a cutting torch differ from a welding torch? Well, a cutting torch differs in that it has an additional lever to control the oxygen discharged through the center orifice. What determines the oxygen and acetylene pressure that must be used? You guys should know this answer. Oxygen and acetylene pressures for a particular application are dependent on tip size, type of cutting to be performed, and thickness of material. What can I use to make an even cut? Any ideas? Okay, we can put an edge on the workpiece and clamp it down, maybe a piece of angle iron or a plate, and then we're going to use it as a guide, and we're going to put our torch tip next to it. All right, how can it be determined that the cut is penetrating through the metal? Well, we're going to have an excess of heat, sparks, and slag or dross that's generated. What is the position of the torch when we cut round stock? Well, to cut round stock, start to cut at 90 degrees from the top edge, keep it in a vertical position, and gradually lift it to follow the circular outline of the bar. Maintain the position of the torch when you go down to the opposite side, but we don't have to turn it to go around it. We just want to keep it up and down. Describe the operation for piercing small holes with a cutting torch. Well, if I'm going to use steel up to 1/2 inch thick, I want to hold the torch area where the hole is to be cut until the flame has heated a small round spot. I'm going to gradually press down on the lever and at the same time raise the tip slightly. If I have steel thicker than 1/2 inch, I want to move the torch slowly in a circular motion as the oxygen lever is depressed to pierce the metal. All right, what type of flame is used for cutting cast iron, assuming it's a good grade of iron? Well, what is it, guys? We want a preheating flame that shows an excess of acetylene or carburizing. What torch motion is used for cutting cast iron? Well, when we cut the cast iron, we want to adjust the preheat flame so it has an excess of acetylene. And we want to make sure that we see the white cone. And we want to hold the torch at an angle of approximately 40 to 50 degrees and heat a spot about 1/2 inch diameter. And we're going to use a swinging motion when we cut it. Okay. All right, what is meant by PAC? Plasma arc cutting. And it uses a constricted electrode or arc to remove the molten metal with high velocity jet arc ionized gas through constricting arc. All right, what type of electrode is used in the CACA process? Well, air carbon arc uses a plain graphite or copper-clad carbon graphite. Here it is though, plain carbon graphite electrodes are less expensive, but carbon-clad graphite electrodes last longer, they can carry higher amperages, and produce more uniform cuts. What causes the removal of molten metal when we use CACA? Well, the compressed air helps it. As the metal melts during cutting, the jet of compressed air blows the molten metal away from the cut. So what do they mean by washing? Washing is the process of removing metal from large areas, like the removal of surfacing metal, backing material, or riser pads on castings. Now, what are some of the precautions that should be observed in any cutting operation? Well, we also want to think about welding operations as well. If you guys are doing this in your garage, you need to remember those little sparks that fall on the ground, those little BBs or whatever, they can go up to 25 feet. So that means you need to pay attention if you have a water heater, some boxes, or anything like that, because they can smolder up to a half hour after you're done. But we also want to make sure that there's nothing around our cutting area. Is there something combustible, right? We want to make sure even that we pay attention to our own PPE. If our pants are cuffed and they're cuffed up, the little spatter of whatever it is can get caught in there and you catch on fire. So we want to make sure that, we also have proper ventilation. Okay? All right, guys, as always, take care.